Hi. 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 Hello. Oh, hello everyone. Hi Leaf. Hello. Um, Today is a chill stream. We'll be playing Uminego. Uminego. Um, I swear that when I called this on Discord, Umineko as Uminego, I didn't think there could be a bad joke about this, but apparently there is, and I don't mind. I don't mind. I find it even funnier. So we'll be resuming Umineko. Last time we had a bunch of issues. The people of the family were kinda wanting to kill Kraus because he's very bad at being a boomer. So he got a lot of shit on him. His wife got really mad at that other woman, and I agree with her. The other woman is a bitch. Yeah. Let's continue. Here. Did it work? Why is it not showing? Oh, I selected the wrong thing. Is it now? Ah, there we go. Let me stop the music, it's obnoxious. There we go. 10 of April. We crossed the hall again on our way to the entrance. Now we went back in time to when the adults told the children to go play in the garden or something before they were trying to kill each other over the old man's inheritance. We crossed the hall again on our way to the entrance. As we did, we once again spotted the witch's portrait. However, spotted is probably not the best word to describe that experience. It was more like our eyes were inexorably drawn to it. The woman's eye, with their sage-like glamour, definitely had the power to make those who viewed it stand rooted to the spot. My dude here is writing poetry. Beatrice. So this is the witch, Beatrice. Wonder if the story is true. The story is true. Bata doesn't believe. Back when he had asked what this picture was, the first person to tell him had been Maria. Therefore, when Bata showed signs of doubt, Maria must have felt that Butler didn't have faith in her. Of course, that wasn't that Butler mean. Maria ran up to the portrait and began banging on a plate hanging below it. Maybe the title of the portrait was written there. Maria trying to prove that she wasn't lying. Obstinately. How do I say this? Obstinately. How do I say this? I'm very mad now. Obstinately. Dang it. How do I say this? Now I'm mad.
Obstinately. Obstinately. Obstinately.
Obstinately.
Obstinately.
Obstinately.
Obstinately.
Obstinately.
Obstinately. Obstinately.
Yeah, this thing. I'm SL. I can mess up simple words. obstinately continued to hit the plate.
ああ、悪い悪い。別にマリアが言ったのを疑ったわけじゃないぜ。
Ah, sorry about that. It's not like I doubt anything you said, Maria. Ooh, Butler believes. Ooh. When he patted Maria's head and apologized, she seemed to accept it, sticking out her chest proudly, oohing.
何何
Don't you laugh at me, Leaf. What's this?
我が最愛の魔女ベア
My beloved witch Beatrice.
懐かしき故郷を貫く
Behold the sweet fish river. Sweet fish?
ってなんだこの怪しげな長い碑文はよ
What's with this weird, huge epitaph? The plate did have the title of the portrait written on it, but it was much too big to contain only that. Beneath the title was what appeared to be a long epitaph. If you just skimmed over it, several unnerving words would jump out at you.
すげえだろそれ。じいさまが書かせたものだよ。
Incredible, isn't it? Grandfather had them made.
意味深だろ
Pretty deep, huh? Ugh. I know. It's the place where the gold's hidden.
おいおい後ろ宮家の隠し黄金の話か
Wait, is it that story about the Shuramiya family's hidden
そりゃ
gold?
また懐かしい話だね
No, there's another thing I remember from long ago.
っていうか兄貴
Hold
これ
on,
マジ
Aniki,
なのか
is this for real?
これを書かせたおじい様はこの絵とこの碑文に関しては何も語ってくれないんだ
So truly, you haven't said any other truer words in your life. Grandfather had this made, but he never said anything about this picture or the epitaph.
でも親類たちの間ではおじい様の黄金の隠し場所を記したもので
Even so, amongst the family, it is often whispered that it indicates the location of grandfather's hidden gold.
この謎を解いた者に家督と黄金のすべてを譲るという意味ではないかともっぱらささやかれてるよ
And that he'll relinquish the inheritance and the gold to the person who solves the riddle. Ew. I heard that too. Lots and lots of gold.
さてな、10トンの金塊なんてね。
What? Well, something like that. Something like 10 metric tons of gold bars. How much is that? 10 metric tons. That's 10 tons. Okay. That's 10,000 kilograms of gold. How much is the kilogram of gold? Gold per kilo. What is this? I don't know. Gold price chart. Now it's difficult because there's spot gold and there's real gold. I don't know. It says here is around $107,000. Is that right? I think it is. It's a huge freaking pile of money. It's incredible. Like thousands of millions of bajillions.
私はちょいと迷うつばだけどな。
I think it's fake though. I do think because I think there's less gold than that in the world.
しかしよこんな碑文を読んじまうとマジかなって気になっちまうな
Still, when you read about it in an epitaph like this, it almost seems real. I think I already explained grandfather's upbringing, but let me also mention the Shuramiya family's legend of the gold. Grandfather succeeded the Shuramiya family after it was destroyed in the Great Kanto earthquake. and by successfully riding the stormy seas after the war, he managed to accumulate great wealth. That much of the story everyone knows. However, this is where the strange part begins. Part of it involves grandfather's black magic possession, so its credibility is extremely low, but well, wait until the end before you doubt me or make fun of it. After the war, grandfather correctly predicted that the future would hold and won in a huge gamble, accumulating a vast store of wealth. But there's a mysterious legend about how he gained his initial funding. Grandfather came from a branch family and had no connections in the business world or the financial world. Even though he later built connections with the occupying forces, he supposedly started as a nameless person who hadn't yet gained anyone's trust. It takes trust to gather money, that's very true. There's no way anyone would lend money to someone they didn't trust. How did grandfather, who had no reputation at all, manage to obtain his first vast chunk of funds? When asked that question, grandfather supposedly answered like this. "Oh, a certain day I encountered the golden witch Beatrice." Grandfather then went on and on about his continuing research into alchemy and techniques of summoning demons in order to become a great magician, and the entity summoned as the result of the demon calling ceremony was the golden witch Beatrice. He then apparently made a contract by which he would receive fortune and honor in exchange for his own soul. The witch then granted grandfather 10 tons of gold. How much gold is there in the world? How much gold is there in the world? 244,000 metric tons. So he received a little less than 1% of all Earth's gold. I opened the wrong thing. I wanted the calculator. If the total is 244,000, and he received 10 tons. Now I don't know if it's 244,000 or 244 metric tons, because there's a comma instead of a dot here. I'm not sure. I'll divide by 10. I'm stupid. This is the wrong math. You get the idea. He's received a shit ton of gold. Grandfather used his gold as collateral to prepare a vast quantity of funds, which he then used to multiply his wealth many times over and revive the Shurmiya family. It seems this story so old that even our parents were told it when they were still children. So back when our parents were young, they explored this island in all sorts of ways, believing that the gold grandfather had received from the witch might be hidden somewhere. However, since there was the danger of them getting lost in the abandoned forest, grandmother began to spread the story that the witch lived in the forest and approaching it was forbidden. I remember the old story. When we were little, we also went all over the island searching for treasure after our grandparents told us about it. Didn't we get lost in the forest once? Then started crying until some of the servants found us. Our parents got so mad. Dang, that takes me back. We sure were idiots, weren't we? After all, grandfather only bought this island after using those funds to get rich, right?
この島に来る前から黄金を持ってたってことになるじゃねえか。
That means he must have had the gold before coming here.
この島にあるわけがないぜ。
There's no way the gold is on this island.
そうとも限らないよ。その黄金が元からこの島に隠されていて、それを確実に自分のものにするためにこの島を丸々買い取ったとかね。
That's not necessarily so. Maybe the gold was hidden on the island from the beginning, and he bought the whole island just to ensure that it'll be his and his alone.
何しろ10トンもあるんだもん。
There was a whole 10 metric tons of it, right?
安全な場所に移すより隠し場所そのものを確保する方が現実的だよ。
It seems more realistic that he tried to secure the place where it was hidden rather than try to move it all.
この碑文を書かせたのは2年前。それもじいさま自身ってなると。
This epitaph was made 2 years ago, and since grandfather wrote it himself,
黄金伝説も信憑性が増してくるじゃねえか。
it does make the legend of the gold seem more believable.
じいさまが後宮家復興の資本金にしたという魔女に授けられた黄金が10トン。そいつがどこかに今も眠っていて、じいさまはこの謎を解けたやつに全部を譲ろうって、そういうつもりなのかもしれねえ。
The so-called witch's gold that revived the Shuramiya family weighed 10 tons. Maybe that's sleeping somewhere, ready to be turned over to whoever can solve grandfather's riddle. Maybe that's why he did it.
じいさまらしいセンスというか、
Huh.
というか。
I guess that sounds like grandfather's style or something.
マジならなんとも景気のいい話だぜ。
If that's true, that's pretty incredible. The epitaph carved into the plate was very mysterious, with something like a poem or a song written on it. That text was incredibly disturbing, filled with the signs of grandfather's black magic hobby, and its contents were in truly bad taste. But it could definitely be viewed as a puzzle which, if solved, might lead to the hidden gold.
そういうつもりなのかどうか、おじいさまの胸中は想像もつかないけどね。
Whether that's what he intended or not. 1 second, please. Sorry. Whether that's what he intended or not, I can even imagine what his true motive might have been.
一つ言えるのは、このうさんくさい碑文をおじいさまは一族全員に告示するかのようにここに掲示したこと。
All we know for sure is that grandfather put this shady epitaph here so that everyone in the family could see it.
そして黄金の存在はほのめかしながらも、未だにその隠し場所について一切触れないこと。そこから親たちが想像を膨らませて、おじいさまの知恵比べに違いないって言い出した。
We also know that he's hinted at the existence of gold without ever talking about where it might be hidden, at least so far. These acts then were embellished by the imaginations of our parents, who were convinced that grandfather was challenging us to a battle of wits.
欲の皮が突っ張ってるうちの親父あたりだろうぜ。じいさまの黒魔術趣味はバカにしてるくせに、この隠し黄金の話だけは信じてやがる。
Sounds just like my dad, so greedy that he'd take something like this so seriously. He may laugh at grandfather's black magic obsession, but he'd still believe the story about the hidden gold.
調子のいい話さ。
It just sounds so good.
確かに現実的な話じゃないよね。当時無名で何のコネクションもなかったおじいさまに無償で莫大な金塊を融資する人物なんているわけがない。
Well, it's certainly not a realistic story. At that time, when grandfather was still nameless and had no connections, there was no way anyone would just lend him a massive quantity of gold bars for free.
それがいたからこそ、おじいさまはそのスポンサーを魔女と呼んだというなら考えられない話じゃないけど。
If such a person actually did exist, it's not unthinkable that grandfather would call such a sponsor a witch.
でもよ、10トンだぜ、10トン。一体現金に直したらいくらくらいになるんだ？
Yeah, but it's 10 tons. 10 tons. If you cash that in, how much would it come
ってい
to?
うか、とんでもない量になるはずだぜ。
I mean, it'd have to be a ridiculous amount, right?
とんでもない量だよ。人類が有史以来発掘した黄金はせいぜい10万トンって言われてる。
It certainly would be a ridiculous amount. They say that the total amount of gold mined by humankind since the dawn of history is 10,000 metric tons at most. 100,000. According to the internet, it's 244,000 metric tons.
人類の歴史が手にした黄金の1万分の1を個人が手にしてるっていうのはとてつもないことだよ。
That one per 1/10,000th of all the gold humankind has obtained throughout history should belong to just one person is just insane. I do believe, wasn't like that African emperor, like, didn't he have like half of humanity's gold for one time? Richest person in history. Mansa Musa. Dude owned 25 to 30% of all GDP in the world by his time. So yeah, he was pretty bonkers. I mean, it still is not half of humanity's gold, but I think it's... Dang it! I think it's quite a big amount. It's insane. On top of that, this witch supposedly had all that gold collected in one place and was able to lend it to grandfather just like that. We're not talking about any ordinary person. Well, to me, that 10 tons number seems pretty fishy. After all, no one's seen it except grandfather, right? Even if we assume that some generous witch existed and lent him some gold, maybe it was closer to 10 kilograms than 10 tons. Even 10 kilograms would be a pretty incredible sum, right? Ooh. 10 kilograms of gold is how much? Maria, who wasn't following the story and felt like she was being spoken to in riddles, finally found a place where she could ask us a question. It was a question I also wanted answered right then. Whether it was 10 kilograms or 10 tons, it still felt a huge amount, but I had no idea exactly how huge. George Umineko folded his arm and tried to remember the market price of gold. Well, even the value of gold is affected by the market, and the value of physical gold can change depending on its purity and the trustworthiness of the foundry. You'd also need to pay handling fees to cash it in. However, that doesn't change the fact that it's a precious metal, and some people estimate that humanity will mine all the world's gold within half a century. If gold mining continues at its current rate.
デタラメに言って1キロあたり 200万円程度の価値はあるんじゃないかと思うね。
Just guessing haphazardly, I think you could expect a price of about 2 million yen per kilogram. That would be 10,000 times 2 million. Uh, 10,000 times 2 million. That would be 20,000 millions. 20 trillion? I think. Something around that. 20 trillion. Let me ChatGPT. 20 trillion yens today in dollars. How much would that be? That would around to $129 billion, I think. Maybe even more. Still, bunker amount of money.
ひゅう
Whoa!
私よ、10キロってのは今適当に言った控えめな数字なんだけどよ。
Just now I randomly said 10 kilograms since it sounded smaller.
それでも2000万円の価値があるってことになるじゃねえかよ。
But even that would be worth 20 million yen. If I'm not mistaken, like there's people who receive a million yen per year. Something like that. 4 million yen per year. And that's like a huge salary in Japan. Like 20 million yen in dollar. That would be around $139,000, $140,000. Price of a house, like a very shitty house, but the price of a house. I weigh 28 kilograms.
ということは、マリアちゃんと同じ重さの黄金なら、
Which means that if we had Maria's weight in gold,
その価値は5000万円を超えるって計算になるね。
we could estimate its worth at over 15 million yen.
そりゃたまげるな。
That's just unbelievable.
10トンならいくらだ？
How much would 10 tons be then?
10キロで2000万が1000倍だから、
10 kilograms is 20 million yen, which you multiply by 1000, so
200億円か。
20 billion yen. Yeah, I extrapolated a little too much. I said it was 20 trillion yen.
こりゃたまらねえや。
What the hell? How much is 20 billion yen actually worth? We can only measure it relative to our own pocketbooks. By the way, that's 20 billion yen in 1980 Japan, at like the height of their economic boom. So that would be even more money today. Anyway, let's say that a person's wage over a lifetime are about 200 million yen. You grow up and work like crazy, sacrificing your life for your company, and you're finally freed as you approach old age. Everything including retirement money might add up to about 200 million yen. In other words, that's the amount of money that will be made throughout a human's life. No, you could even call it the value of a life. So 100 times that sum is an unbelievable amount of money. If you work from age 20 to age 60, that's 40 years of work. So it's equal to 4,000 years of work wages. If you work every day starting from the Jomon period, you'd only reach that amount by now. Jomon period. Jomon period. It started around 14,000 years. What? How do you read these? AC. After Christ? Doesn't make any sense. Something like 14,000 years. Or I think 300? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, 14,000 to 300 before Christ. So yeah, it's incredibly long ago. Is 20 billion yen a lot?
ああ、すげえよ。
Heck yeah, it's a lot.
マリアの大好きなショートケーキだったら、多分一生かかっても食い切れないくらい買えるぜ。
Mario, you love shortcake, right? You could buy more shortcake than you could possibly eat for the rest of your life.
でも200億円という現金ならいざ知れず。
However, well, that might be possible with 20 billion yen in
そ
cash.
れと同等の金塊が一ところにあるなんてとても現実的とは思えないね。
I don't think it would be very realistic to have that much gold bars all in one
さっき
place.
も言った通り黄金は非常に重くて財産をまとめておくにはちょっと便利とは思えないよ。
Just as I said, gold is extremely heavy, and so it isn't exactly convenient as a method of storing wealth.
ものすごい額面の有価証券とかものすごく価値のある宝石とかそういうものなら考えられなくもないけれど。
Sure, you could imagine someone gathering their fortune together as incredibly high value stocks or precious gems.
戦時中の混乱期に自分の資産を持ち運べるよう全て宝石などに変えた人たちがいたのは有名な話だからね。
You often hear of people who traded their wealth for precious gems so that they could carry it around with them during the chaotic times of the war.
でも黄金で資産を備蓄したというのはなかなか聞かない。
But you don't usually hear stories of people exchanging their wealth for gold.
確かに重いけどよ、国際的に一番信用されてて価値も安定してるし意味はあるんじゃないのかな。
It may be heavy, but it's the most trusted and stable form of wealth internationally. So maybe that was important.
証券とかだったら国が滅びちまったら紙切れになっちまうわけだし。
For example, bonds are just scraps of paper if the whole country goes under.
そういう考え方もあるね。
You can also look at it that
で
way.
も 10kg のインゴット一つでも体感重量は相当のものだよ。
But even one 10 kilogram ingot is pretty heavy to carry
聞
around.
いたことない？
Haven't you heard?
50kg の人間は背負えても 50kg の俵は担げないって。
A 50 kilogram person can carry a 50 kilogram bag over their
それだ
shoulder.
けの莫大な重量の金塊を個人が所有するリスクと手間は計り知れないね。
With that many gold bars, the amount of labor and risk for one person would be hard to calculate.
ってことはつまり200億円の札束がうなってるって話ならともかく。
So what you're saying is, while it'd be one thing, what? So what you're saying is, while it'd be one thing if you had a stack of banknotes worth 20 billion yen,
200億円分の黄金が山積みになってるってのはちょいと現実味がないわけだな。
20 billion yen in gold would be such a big mountain that practically it'd be kind of pointless.
そういうことになる。
That's right.
黄金伝説なんて響きはとても面白いんだけど、そもそも10トンの黄金という時点で少々無理があるね。
That's true. Like, if you had 10 tons of gold in this frigging island, you'd still need to trade the gold to get the money, and you would need to transport that through a boat. So, how much can a boat carry? Like, I know you can carry a fuck ton, but you'd still lose some money by carrying it on a boat. And then you would as he said, you need to trade that thing and everything. So yeah, like it's not a very efficient way to store stuff. Yeah. Although the legend of the gold does have a pretty interesting ring to it, just the part, just the part about the 10 tons of gold makes it pretty much impossible.
そうやってリズムで考えるとみるみる嘘くさくなっていくぜ。
If you think about it logically like that, it sounds obviously fake.
夢のない話さ。
Kinda of brings you back down to reality.
でもそこは何しろ親切なお金持ちからの融資を大げさに吹聴して魔女から授かった10トンの黄金なんて例え方をしたのかもしれないよ。
Anyway, that's grandfather for you. Maybe he exaggerated the story of how some kind wealthy person gave him a loan by saying he got 10 tons of gold from a witch. I think that would work in 1940s Japan, where people were extremely gullible.
10トンという数字も象徴的な感じがするしね。
Even the number 10 tons feels pretty symbolic.
つまり借りた金のありがたさは10トンの黄金に匹敵する価値があった。
You mean like
ってことだな。
you mean like his gratitude for the money he borrowed was worth 10 tons of gold or something?
じいさまに大金持ちの勇敢マダムが気前よく恵んでくれて、そのご婦人を魔女と呼んだ。ってことじゃねえのか？
Maybe some rich man's leisured wife generously granted it to grandfather, and maybe he started calling this person a witch. I see, Jessica's example isn't bad. Someone who generously lent a huge sum of money to grandfather when he still had no reputation might as well be called a witch. Furthermore, grandfather actually did use that money to build a vast amount of wealth later on. The fact that this person was so great at judging people might also justify calling her a witch. Also, since she went to the trouble of lending all that money, she might have enthusiastically overseen how it was spent. The decision to unexpectedly get involved with the occupying forces and profit from the Korean War demands might have been inspired by the witch herself. That might explain why he claimed to have received both wealth and honor from her.
なるほどな。ってことはつまりこの魔女様は後ろ宮家復興のための資金を恵んでくださった復興の大恩人ってわけだ。
I see. So in other words, this witch lent grandfather the funds necessary to revive the Shurimiya family, and he owed her big
と
time.
なりゃじい様が感謝の気持ちを込めてこんだけでかい絵を描かせて掲げさせたってのもなるほどおかしい話じゃないのかもな。
And then he felt so grateful that he had that huge painting drawn and displayed. Yeah, it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy story.
ひょっとするとよ、当の本人は見るからに魔女っぽいばあさんだったかもしれないぜ。それをじいさまが美化してこんな美人に描いてくれたってのは考えられる話さ。
It's even possible that this person was an old granny who looked like a witch. Maybe grandfather idolized her, and that's why he had her drawn to look so pretty, so beautiful.
案外当の本人に会ってみたらこんなに美人じゃないかもしれねえな。
I'll bet if we ever did meet this person, she wouldn't be nearly this pretty.
ありえるね。ベアトリーチェって名前はいかにも洋風だけど、僕たち一族の名前がみんな洋風であることを考えると、このベアトリーチェって名前も日本人名を無理やり洋風にアレンジしたものなのかもしれないよ。
That's possible. The name Beatrice sounds pretty Western. And if you think about how everyone in our family has Western names, maybe even the name Beatrice is the result of grandfather's trying to rearrange some Japanese person's name to make it sound Western.
なるほどなるほど。この美人は絵の中にしかいないってわけだな。
I get it. That means this pretty girl doesn't exist outside the picture.
それじゃあ立派そうな胸は揉めそうにないぜ。
I once read this.
鼻から魔女なんておかしいんだよな。そんなのが地球上のどこにいるってんだ。
In the first place, isn't having a witch pretty bizarre? Isn't having a witch pretty bizarre by itself? Like, you could find something like that anywhere on Earth. I laughed and made fun of the witch, trying to distinguish myself from the kid I was 6 years ago, who feared the witch of the forest, when Maria tugged on my sleeve. I could tell by how hard she pulled that she was a bit upset. Hmm?
なんだよ、マリア。
Was it Maria?
は
Ugh.
ー
Ugh.
ベアトリーチェはいる。
Beatrice exists! Maria stared up at me. She had on her usual sour look, but I could tell she was angry by the color of her eyes.
魔女いる。魔女はいる。
Witches exist! Witches exist! Ugh. Ugh.
なんだよ。
Well,
そりゃいるだろうよ。テレビをつけりゃアニメとかによ。
well, sure, they do exist. If you turn the TV on and watch an anime or something.
いる。魔女はいる。
Exists! Witches exist! I started getting impatient, not knowing why Maria was jumping on me like this. Then Jessica tapped me on the shoulder and whispered,
バカだな。子供の夢打ち砕いてんじゃねえぜ。マリアは魔女とかベアトリージェとかも確かに存在するって信じてんだよ。
Dumbass, you're smashing a kid's dream. Maria really believes things like witches and Beatrice exists.
確かマリアちゃんは学校の文集に将来なりたいものは魔女って書いたんだっけ？
Come to think of it, Maria-chan, in social studies at your school, when you were asked to write what you wanted to be when you grew up, you wrote a witch, didn't you? Maria nodded seriously. Tears started to run from the corners of her eyes. I see. To a girl who wants to become a witch in the future, the existence of Beatrice was proof that witches do exist in this world, and was therefore an image that she yearned after and admired. Since as a kid, I yearned for the black magic. Exist. Exist. Witches exist.
なのにバトラーが信じない。
But Butler still doesn't believe.
うんいるよ魔女は。
It's okay. Witches do exist.
お兄ちゃんは信じるよ。
I believe it. George and Nikki kneeled down and hugged Maria's head. Watching this, Jessica poked my side. So that's what it is. It's like shouting that Santa Claus doesn't exist in front of a child who believes in him on Christmas Eve. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to shatter a kid's dream.
悪かった。別にマリアの夢にケチをつけたわけじゃねえんだ。
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make fun of your dreams, so I
ベア
apologize.
トリーチェはいるよな。
Beatrice does exist.
今もこの島の森の中に住んでいて、夜な夜なこの屋敷で何をやってるのか覗き見しに来るんだろ。
Even now, she's living in the forest and comes to the mansion every night to peek in and see what everyone's
だ
doing.
から森には入っちゃいけない。夜はいつまでも暗い森を眺めていてはいけない。
So you shouldn't go to the forest, into the forest. At night, you mustn't stare into the dark forest.
森の魔女、ベアトリーチェに見つかってしまうかもしれないから。
You might be seen by the witch of the forest, Beatrice.
バサマがそう言ってたんだもんね。
After all, grandmother said so.
本
Ooh,
当に
really?
本当にバトラーは信じる。
Butler really believes?
おお、信じるぜ。ケチをつけて悪かったよ。
Yep, I believe. Sorry for doubting it. Come
仲
on,
直りしようぜ。
let's make up. I stuck out my hand. Maria grabbed it with her tiny hands and we made up. Maria didn't grumble any more than that, so George, Aniki, and Jessica were relieved.
あら、皆様ここにいらっしゃられたんですか。
Oh, so this is where all of you
てっ
were.
きり海岸へ行かれたとばかり。
Was sure you had just left. Was sure you had just left to the beach. Shannon-chan, carrying a basket, was surprised to find us all gathered in front of the portrait.
シャノンか。いやさ、バトラはベアトリーチェの肖像画を初めて見るからさ。
Ah, Shannon. Well, this is the first time Bella has seen Beatrice's portrait.
まあ見とれてたってわけだぜ。
He was just fascinated by it.
そうですね。見とれちゃいますね。ベアトリーチェ様って本当にお綺麗です。
That's right. It certainly is fascinating. Beatrice Sama is really beautiful.
さぞや親方様を虜になさったろうと思います。
I am sure that she captivated the master.
パトロン説の他にもおじい様の初恋の人だという説もあるんだ。
In addition to the patron theory, there's also a theory that she was grandfather's first love.
どちらにせよ彼女に出会ってから数十年を経ているだろうにもかかわらず今なお心の中に大きく居座り続けているんだから。
Either way, although it's been several decades since he met her, even now she holds a special place in his
そ
heart,
れは今なお虜にしているということなんだろうね。
which must mean that he is still captivated by her.
やれやれ、これじゃばあ様はさぞや嫉妬しただろうぜ。
Sheesh, that must have made grandmother pretty jealous, huh?
私はよく知らねえけど、やっぱりそういうのはあったらしいぜ。ばあ様は金髪の浮気相手がいると信じてたらしいな。
I'm not really sure, but that might actually be true. Apparently, grandmother believed he was cheating on her with some blonde. Oh, good smell. Good smell coming from Shannon. Maria, sniffing, approached the basket Shannon was holding with interest. After hearing that, I noticed a fragrant scent with a touch of vanilla.
申し訳ございません。熊沢さんからこれを皆さんにお届けするように
What are
預かりま
these?
した。
Sweet rolls? Oh, I apologize. I was told by Kumasawa-san to bring them to everyone.
なんだろう。
What is it? I wonder.
素敵だね。
Oh, excellent.
キーだ。
Cookies. Ooh. Wanna eat cookies? Wanna eat cookies? Ooh.
お召し上がりいただけますよ。でもその
Please eat as much as you like. But, would it be appropriate to serve cookies in a place like this, in front of the portrait? Shannon-chan sent us a glance that seemed to ask what we wanted to do about it. Well, yeah, I guess eating here would be bad manners, generally speaking.
マリア、ここじゃなくてよそで食べようぜ。クッキーをお弁当にピクニックに行こう。
Maria, why don't we eat someplace else? Let's put the cookies in a bento and have a picnic. Ew. Have a picnic. Have a picnic.
食べれるなら行こ
If we can eat cookies, let's go.
そうだな。ちょっと表の空気を吸いに行くか。魔女様の御前でつまみ食いもねえもんだぜ。
Yeah, let's go get some fresh air. We shouldn't stop ourselves right in front of the witch.
そうだ。もともと私たちは浜辺に行こうって言ってたんじゃねえか。行こうぜ行こうぜ。
That's right. Didn't we say that we wanted to go down to the beach? In the first place? Let's go. Let's go.
シャノンちゃん、申し訳ないんだけど、腰を下ろせる敷物と水筒にお茶を入れてきてもらうのをお願いしてもいいかな。
Shannon-chan, sorry, but could I ask you to get us a blanket to sit on and some flasks of tea? Flasks of tea?
う。はい、かしこまりました。
Right, certainly. Shannon-chan received her instructions and gracefully bowed before retracing her steps. We headed down to the beach on our own. Everyone headed to the entrance in a group. Feeling as though that witch was staring down at our backs, I turned around once more.
バトラ、まだ信じてない？
Well, you still don't believe?
いや、信じるぜ。
Nope, I believe.
その方が夢があるしな。
It'd be so much cooler that way.
黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェがじい様に10トンの黄金を授けた。
The golden witch Beatrice gave grandfather 10 tons of gold.
それでその黄金がどこかに眠っているかもしれない。
And that gold might be slipping around here somewhere.
しかもそいつをじいさまは怪しげな碑文に書き残し、見つけられるもんなら見つけてみろと俺たちを挑発してるってんじゃねえか。
Besides, didn't grandfather write that strange epitaph as though challenging us to find it if we can?
こういうロマンはあった方がいいってもんさ。
I'd say that kind of adventurous story is way better.
200億円の黄金か私たち4人で山分けしたってとんでもない金額になるな。
20 billion yen worth of gold, huh? Even if we split it up between the four of us, that's still a ridiculous amount of money.
一人頭50億円か。
5 billion yen for each of us.
すごいね。
Incredible. By the way, yeah, that's true. At that time, people were talking about the yen surpassing the dollar. So it's not that little amount of money. It's pretty high if we consider the yen at that time. It's 1986 if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty high. It's like yen was peaking at this time. So it's really bunker amounts of money. Like today, that's not that much, but at the time was pretty bonkers.
それだけあったらどんな事業でも起こせそうだよ。
With that kind of money, you probably could make any sort of business prosper.
そもそも働かずに生涯を優雅に過ごせるだろうね。
In fact, we could live our whole lives fabulously. I suck at saying this word. Fabulously. Without working it out.
50億円よりクッキー
I don't want 5 billion yen. I want cookies.
マリアには金よりクッキーだな。しかし50億円か。
Wow.
夢のある話さ。
Maria would take cookies over money. Still 5 billion yen, that's like a dream. Oh, we're back at the dance room. Ushirumi Cross, ridiculous.
まさかお前たちは親父殿の黄金伝説を本当に信じているのかね。
Is it possible that you all truly believe in Father's legend of the gold?
魔女が黄金を与えた云々はさすがに信じねえさ。だが黄金の話だけは間違いじゃない。
Of course we don't believe that story about a witch giving him gold, but there's no mistake about the gold itself.
お父様が出自不明の金塊を持っていたことは複数の筋から確認されているわ。死んだマルソーの会長は生前お父様に某所で積み上げられた金塊を実際に見せられたという。
The fact that Father obtained gold bars from an unknown source has been confirmed in several ways. We've heard that before the president of the Maruso company died, Father showed him a large pile of gold somewhere.
お父様はそれを指して10トン分あるとはっきり明言したわ。
Father used that man's claim as proof that there were 10 tons worth.
老いぼれのざれ言じゃないか。親父殿と一緒に存在しない黄金の存在をでっち上げただけだ。取るにも足らない。
That's just the nonsense of a senile old man. Along with Father, he was just fabricating a story. You can't take it seriously. But what there was for him to earn from it?
存在せん黄金にあないな軍資金は集まらへんで。会長さんは生前その真摯なお人柄であれだけ大勢の財界人から尊敬を集めたお人や。
If that gold didn't exist, he wouldn't have been able to gather so much funding. But if you have 10 tons of gold, why do you need funding? You have 10 tons of gold. I mean, I don't have a very prestigious and excruciatingly rich family, so I don't know. Before the president died, he was a person with with such a sincere personality that he earned the respect of many in the business world.
詐欺の片棒なんか担がへん。
He wouldn't have become a partner to such a fraud.
兄貴、マルソーの会長は確かに見てんだ。10トンの黄金をはっきりとその目で。しかも親父はそのインゴットの一つを任意で抜き取らせ、会長に持ち帰らせて鑑定させた。
Aniki, the president of Maruso, definitely saw it, 10 tons of it, clearly with his own eyes. Even more, that let the president take one ingot at random and have it examined.
それは10キロのインゴットで、鑑定結果は
What? The result of the examination showed that the 10-kilogram ingot was 99.99% pure.
インゴット表面には後宮家の家紋である片翼の鷲が刻印されていたという。
He said that the Shiromiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, was imprinted on it.
後宮の黄金伝説は瞬く間に財界のフィクサーたちの間に広がったわ。鋳造元不明の黄金は換金率が悪い。
Almost instantly, the Shiromiya legend of the gold spread amongst the fixers of the business world. Gold from an unknown foundry has a poor rate of conversion into money.
ボロ儲けのチャンスだと思った彼らはそれを担保に認め、結果、お父様は莫大な融資を受けることができた。
Thinking that it was a chance for decisive profits, they accepted it as collateral, and as a result, father was able to receive massive loans. Oh, so I get it why he wasn't using the gold to... He wasn't using the gold to as money because it was less worthy of what it should be because there is no foundry to be known of. Interesting. So that's why he went for the loans.
バカバカしいにも程があるじゃないか。お前たちはいくつになるんだ。まだそんな子供の頃のおとぎ話を真に受けているのかね。
Is there no limit to the absurdity you're willing to accept? How old are you people? Are you still taking that nursery tale you heard as children seriously?
第一、その10トンの黄金の証拠はどこにあるんだ。親父殿と親交の深かったごく一部の人間のざれ言だけじゃないか。
Where is the proof that these 10 tons of gold even exists? Aren't you just parenting the lies of father and fears of those close to him?
もちろん口伝だけさ。でもよ兄貴、親父が調達した莫大な金はそれに見合う担保が必要だった。仮に黄金がデマでもそれに匹敵する価値あるお宝を親父が見せたのは紛れもない事実じゃねえのかい。
Of course it's just a story, but still, Aniki, the amount of money that raised required a suitable amount of collateral. Even if the gold itself was just a rumor, it's an undoubtable fact that he showed them a treasure of comparable worth.
都市空間の親父殿が作った黄金幻想さ。ありもしない黄金をあるかに振る舞い、スポンサーたちを騙したんだ。一世一代の大博打だったのだろう。
It was just an illusion of money created by our penniless father. He acted as though he actually had gold that didn't exist, fooling his sponsors. It was probably the gamble of a lifetime.
よくその資産の運用に成功できた。
Luckily, his use of those funds proved successful.
もし当時の外需拡大がなかったら後宮家の再興はならず、親父殿は正規のペテン師として追われていただろう。
If the Korean War demands hadn't come and the Shiromiya family had not been restored, father would probably have been hounded after as the crook of the century.
じゃあクラウス兄さんは黄金など最初から存在せず、すべてお父さんのでっち上げだいうか。
Does that mean that the Shiromiya family sells guns? if they talk so much about the demands of the Korean War, or do they sell like food and stuff? Weird. So are you saying the gold never existed and father made it all up?
もちろんさ。だから十分な成功を収めた後には黄金幻想など面倒なだけだった。だから親父殿は魔女だの黒魔術だのとわけのわからないことを後に言い出して信憑性を薄めたのさ。
Of course, and because of that, the illusion of gold became a mere inconvenience once he'd achieved enough success. That's why later on, father added all that about a witch and black magic, weakening the credibility of the entire story.
つまり黄金幻想がでっち上げであることを魔女に黄金を授かったなどと言えば、もはや誰も黄金の存在を信じたりはしまい。
In other words, he revealed that the illusion of the gold was a fabrication. If he claimed to have received the gold from a witch, no one would believe that it existed at all, right?
あるいはお前たちのために言い出したのかもしれないな。なのに、ありもしない黄金を遺産分配に含めて議論しようというバカな息子たちが現れる。
It's also possible he said it for all of your sakes. Nevertheless, here comes some stupid offspring wanting to divide up this non-existent gold, along with the rest of the inheritance.
まさかお前までこんなでっち上げを信じてるって言うんじゃないだろう。
Rosa, don't tell me that even you believe in a fabrication like this.
私はお父様が本当に黄金を持っていたかどうかを確かめることはできない。
I feel so bad for Rosa. Like, I know she's going to be a very horrible person, but I feel so bad for her.
でもお父様の4人の子供の一人として正当な分を主張したいだけよ。
I can't prove whether or not father really had the gold. I just want to claim my rightful share as one of father's 4 children.
ほう。ローザも言うようになったじゃないか。
It seems even you have started to talk that way, Rosa.
なるほど。お前たちはこう言いたいわけかね。
I see. So that's what you're all getting at.
私が黄金を独り占めしようとしていると。
You're trying to claim that I'm attempting to keep all the gold for myself.
兄さんが莫大な軍資金を調達したのは事実。それがお父様の個人資産の横領では断じてありえないというなら、つまりはそういうことよ。
Nissan, you've gathered a massive supply of funds. That's a fact. If we rule out the possibility that you've been embezzling father's personal funds, then there's only one possibility left, right?
兄貴はすでに10トンの金塊を見つけてるんじゃないかって。俺たちはそう見てるのさ。
Oh. Aniki, we've been thinking that you might have found those 10 tons of gold bars.
バカバカしい。そんなものは元より存在しない。
Ridiculous. Such a thing never existed in the first place.
じゃあ説明なさいよ。お父様の財産の横領、お父様の隠し黄金、そのどちらでもないなら、どうやってあれだけの軍資金を調達できたっていうの？
Then explain yourself. Was it embezzlement of father's assets or father's hidden gold? How could you have gathered so much funding if not by one of these methods? He could have fooled his sponsors like he claims his father has.
私にも政界財界に友人が多くいて、彼らから協力を得ただけに過ぎん。
Even I have many friends in the political and financial realms. I have earned their cooperation, nothing
そ
more.
れについてお前たちに説明する義務はない。
And on that matter, I have no responsibility to explain myself to you.
分かっているだろう。
You understand, don't you?
話せぬ方面の筋もある。
There are some topics that ought not be spoken of.
兄貴がそうだと言い張るんならそれでいいさ。でもよ兄貴、親父は長くない。来年の今日まで生きてるなんて誰にも保証できねえんだぜ。
If you insist on that point, that's all well and good for now. But Aniki, that doesn't have long. Nobody can ensure that he'll live to see this day next year.
親父が死ねばその時点で遺産相続だ。俺たちは全員の立場から中立な弁護士と会計士を立てて親父の財政状況を調査させるぜ。
The inheritance process will begin at the instance of Dad's death. We will arrange for lawyers and accountants who are impartial to all of us and have them inspect Dad's financial situation. Bullshit! Bullshit! For sure they as a clique inside of the family, or at least him or the other Eva, will have someone who will try to snatch it up for them or something.
その時、お父様の資産に兄さんが不当な干渉をしていることが発覚したならお分かりね。
At that time, if it comes to light that even unjustly interfered with father's money, you understand, right?
何の話だかさっぱりわからんね。妻でなくても憤慨したい気持ちだ。
I don't have a clue what you're talking about. You're starting to make me feel as indignant as my wife was.
お父さんの黄金はもちろんお父さんの財産や。表に出せん金やっちゅうのも分かっとる。
Of course, father's gold is part of father's fortune. We understand it's money you can reveal
し
openly.
かし4人に公平な権利があるはずや。
But the 4 siblings should have an equal right to it.
つまり兄貴が黄金を独り占めしていないかどうか、兄貴についても財務状況を調査させてもらうぜってことなのさ。
In other words, we're gonna have your financial situation investigated as well as Dad's to determine whether you're hoarding the gold or not.
いい機会じゃない。兄さんの言うところの友人知人にバックアップしてもらったというところを証明なさいよ。
Isn't this a great opportunity? Right now, prove the existence of your so-called support from friends and acquaintances.
私たちはくだらない疑いを持ってしまったことを潔く謝れるわ。
I hate how she speaks. That way we can sportingly apologize for foolishly downing you.
ねえ、ローザ。
Right, Rosa?
そうね。
That's
ク
right.
ラウス兄さんこそ話をはぐらかしてるわ。
Krosny-san, you are the one who's dodging the
や
issue.
ましいところがないというなら証明してくれればいいだけの話なのに、兄さんはまるで取り合おうとしてくれない。
If you were guiltless, you could just prove that you were in the right, but you aren't even trying to do so.
だがまあ兄貴の立場にも配慮するさ。親父の名代ということで俺たちより一つ多く責任を背負ってるところもあるだろう。
However, Aniki, we'll still have to consider your position here. As Dad's representative, you're probably bearing a larger share of the burden than we
今
are.
まで散々気楽に過ごしてきた俺たちがそれを察しないでブーブー言うのはこりゃフェアな話じゃないぜ。
We've been living terribly relaxed lives until now, so it wouldn't be fair for the rest of us to complain without taking your efforts into account. Oh,
さっきから落とされたり持ち上げられたりと忙しい。
it seems you cannot make up your mind whether to flatter me or slander me.
本題に入りたまえ。
Please get to the point.
つまりな、お父さんの財産をあれこれ調べて重箱の隅をつっつくんはブスやないかって話なんや。クラウス兄さんの言う通り、うまく説明できん金の動きもあるやろ。
Basically, randomly investigating nitpicky aspects of father's wealth seems like a pretty crude way to go about it. As you said, Kraus Nissan, there may have been movements of money that are difficult to explain.
そこを理解した上で わしらは兄さんに相談を持ってきたんや。お互いにとって悪うない相談や。
We've come to consult you. We've come to consult with you today while fully aware of that point. Both sides stand to gain from talking about this now.
相談？ほう。
A consultation. Oh.
遺産分配時に今日まで親父の面倒を見てきてくれた兄貴のご苦労を最大限に汲み取り、分配に寛大な理解を示そうってことさ。
When the inheritance is divided, you'll be rewarded for your years of hard work taking care of Dad by an agreement that's generous in your favor.
間違えないでよ。別に私たちの権利を放棄するって言ってるわけじゃないのよ。
Don't misunderstand us, Nissan. We aren't saying that we'll abandon our rights.
ただ、その権利を主張する際に、
But when we make our claims for what we deserve,
兄さんの立場に立った寛大な理解があってもいいんじゃないかしらということなのよ。
we might as well offer a generous understanding for your position. That's what we mean.
つまり条件を飲んでくれたら、わしらは遺産分配時にお父さんの財務状況調査をクラス兄さんに一任してもいいっちゅうこっちゃ。
In other words, if you accept our conditions, when the inheritance is divided, we'll lead the investigation of father's financial situation to you, growls Nissan. All of the siblings from Eva downward suspected that Kraus was trying to steal their father's wealth. Yeah, I was thinking that. So letting Kraus report the state of what wealth was extremely contradictory and a huge concession. If, as they claimed, Kraus was actually embezzling money, Kraus would be able to hide that fact. Besides which, it would be possible for him to control the distribution of the inheritance in a manner favorable to himself. Kraus, realizing that this sounded too good to be true, couldn't help but feel suspicious. He couldn't help but worry about what they'd ask for in exchange.
ほう、信用ゼロの私に長兄としての信頼を返してくれるというのか。
Oh, after mistrusting me completely, you now say that you're willing to restore your confidence in me as the eldest sibling.
その見返りは何だ?
So what is you want in return?
同じ兄弟としての公平な権利さ。俺たちの兄貴は親父の財産をかすめ取るようなやつじゃない。だがしかし、兄貴に融資するパトロンも存在しない。
Just what we deserve as siblings. You aren't the kind of person who'd steal Dad's property, but you also aren't being financed by some patron.
隣や、つまりこういうことなら兄弟は納得するわけさ。
Considering all that, there is a certain explanation that has satisfied the rest of us.
兄さんは10トンの黄金を見つけ、それを担保に軍資金を作った。
Nissan, you found 10 tons of gold and used that as collateral to gather some funding.
そう。お父様がかつてそうしたようにね。
Yes, just like father did in the past, right?
そういうことなら、お父さんの財務状況におかしな点は一切あらへん。クラス兄さんはずっとお父さんの世話をしてきた高校息子や。
If that's the case, there won't be any funny business in father's finances. You've always been a good son, looking after their father.
そないな人を信用せんわけにはいかへん。
Why'd we mistrust a person like that?
回りくどくて分かりづらいな。もっとはっきり具体的に言いたまえ。
This guy's dumb? You're being so roundabout. I can barely understand you. Please speak in clearer and more practical terms.
条件の一つ目。まず兄貴は 親父の黄金を見つけていたことを認める。
Our first condition. Aniki, you must admit that you found that's gold.
ありもしない黄金を私が持っていると認めろと。
Are you asking me to admit I possess gold that doesn't exist?
条件2、その黄金について兄弟の取り分を認めこれを支払うこと。
Our second condition. You acknowledge that each sibling has the right to a share of the gold, and you will pay out those shares.
バカな。ありもしない200億の黄金について一人頭50億。合計150億を支払えというのか。
How foolish. With that non-existent 20 billion yen of gold. Look, the gold doesn't exist, but I know by mind, like very fast, that it values 20 billion yen, but I haven't found it. How foolish. With that non-existent 20 billion yen of gold, that would be 5 billion yen per person. Are you telling me to pay a total of 15 billion yen? Look how he frames it. It's not about profiting 5 billion yen, it's about losing 15.
バカバカしい。
Ridiculous.
最後まで聞きなあれ。
Keep listening to the end.
備え大金出てくるのは分かっとる。
We know that much money can't just pop out of nowhere.
でけへん取引はするつもりないで。もちろん黄金の取り分についてもクラウス兄さんの今日までのご苦労を十分にねぎらって換算するつもりや。
We're not asking you to make an impossible deal. Of course, regarding the proportions of the gold, we plan to reward you plenty for your hard work until now.
条件3、
Our third condition.
黄金の分配は後宮本家当主跡継ぎの肩書きに 50%、 残りを兄弟の正当な取り分として分割。
What? Okay. Our third condition. The portion of gold to the one bearing the title of successor to the Ushiramiya head family will be 50%. The remainder will be considered the fair share for the siblings and divided up.
もちろんクラウス兄さんもこれには含めるわよ。
Of course, this also includes you, Kroll's Nissan.
200億のうち125億を兄貴に。
Of the 20 billion, 12 of 5 billion will go to Aniki.
25億をエヴァ姉さん
2.5 billion will go to Eva.
に。25億を俺に。25億をローザに。
Loza. This is so fucking unfair. It's so much. It's such a huge difference. Still, it is 2.5 billion yen. Let's see. 250, 2,000, 25,000, 250,000, 2 million, 25 million, 250 million, 2 billion and a half. That's, as of today, okay, today, that's $17 million. $17 million. Today. Chat. How much was the yen to dollar exchange in 1986? So yen so would be how much? I'm asking ChatGPT. It would be less back then, actually, weirdly enough. Again, it's 15.6 million US dollars in 1986. That in today dollar would be how much? ChatGPT broke. We'll wait for the answer.
ありがたくて涙が出る分配じゃないか。
That division scheme makes me so grateful I could cry. Umineko and Cross cry.
存在しない黄金のためにお前たちに75億支払えというのかね。
So you're saying, for the sake of the gold that doesn't exist, I must pay you 7.5 billion yen.
何よ、兄さんの取り分は私たちの5倍じゃない。私なら踊り上がっちゃう好条件よ。
What's wrong, Nii-san? Your share is 5 times the size of ours. These are such good terms, I'd be jumping for joy.
条件の4
Oh, there's a fourth one. Oh, here we go. If we adjust for inflation, that would be $42 million. Just the 2.5 billion. Makes that 5 times, and that's like 200 million dollars. It's like $250 million. And that's out of nowhere, reminding that these people have businesses and stuff.
分配金は親父の死亡時に遺産分配に含めてただし手付金として俺たちの取り分の 10% を即納してもらう。
Our fourth condition, the gold will be liquidated and distributed along with the inheritance at the time of father's death. However, as a deposit, 10% of our portions are to be paid to us promptly.
支払いは来年3月までだ。
These payments must be made before March of next year.
クラス兄さん、お父さんの財産をめぐる信頼を回復する絶好のチャンスやないか。
What do you think, Kroll's Nissan? This is an ideal chance for you to restore the trust regarding your handling of father's assets, isn't it?
さすがに75億の大金はお父さんが亡くなったからやないと無理やろ。だが手付けの7億半はなんとかできんこともないんとちゃうか。
Of course, it might be impossible to get a whole 7.5 billion before father dies, but it should be possible for you to manage a deposit of 750 million, right?
半年で7億ってのはちょいとしんどい話だが。
Paying 700 million in half a year might sound like a
政
pain.
界財界に友人が多いってのが自慢の兄貴な。
Oh, paying 700 million in half a year might sound like a pain, but should be able to manage it with all your friends in the political and business
本
spheres.
当なら今すぐ75億を一括で払ってもらいたいところよ。
Normally, we'd hope to receive the 7.5 billion right now, all at
で
once.
も兄さんの立場に配慮してとりあえず1割を納める誠意を見せてくれたら。
But out of concern for you, we'll show our sincerity by asking for only 10% of that for the time being.
残りの9割は遺産分配時に持ち越してくれていいってことなのね。
The remaining 90% can wait until the inheritance is distributed. See,
1割程度の誠意なら兄さんにだって示せるんじゃない？
even you'd be capable of managing a mere 10% to show your sincerity.
親父殿の財政状況調査を私に一任する権利を。
So you're trying to sell me the right to access father's financial situation for 750 million yen. Hehehehehe.
上等じゃないか。
How impressive.
お前たちも成長したものだ。
You all certainly have grown.
この私に取引を持ちかけられるようになるとは。
To think that I'm now the one being offered deals.
これらを兄さんが飲むなら、私たち兄弟はお父様の財産状況調査を兄さんに一任する。ただし、その調査結果は公弁の対象となる。当然よね。
Nissan, if you accept these terms, the rest of us siblings will leave the investigation to father's assets to you. However, the results of that investigation will be subject to scrutiny. It's only natural, right?
75億分、私たちの取り分が減るように調整されちゃったら悲しいもの。
We'd be so sad if you managed things so that our 7.5 billion share shrank.
原則的に文句は言わねえつもりだ。
We'll avoid complaining as a general rule.
兄貴が綺麗にやってくれたならそれでいい。よっぽど露骨なことをしなけりゃ、俺たちはことを荒立てるつもりなんかねえんだぜ。
Just make sure we'll avoid complaining as a general rule. Just make sure you do it neat and tidy. As long as you don't try anything that's a bit blatantly obvious, we've got no intention of stirring things up.
俺たちだって早く遺産が欲しい。
We earn our inheritance quickly too.
いつまでもグダグダして取りっぱぐれたくねえ。
We don't want it to get all drawn out and then left hanging.
公弁された場合の再調査は誰がするのかね。
If a complaint is made, how would carry out the follow-up investigation?
兄さんでいいわ。多分これが兄弟で合議する最初で最後の機会だもの。そんなことにはならないと信じてる。
We don't mind if it's you. This is probably the first and last chance for us siblings to reach a consensus. I believe it won't come to that. Won't need to come to that. Ehehe, cackle, cackle.
ローザもたまには言うわね。
Looks like even you can speak now and then, Rosa. By this point, it's obvious that Cross wasn't at all trusted as the oldest sibling, so there's no need to go into detail. The formerly tyrannical oldest brother had always abused his privileges and violated the other siblings' shares, so he has a history of being an asshole. It was in response to this that the other three, now adults, were finally teaming up and striking back for the first time.
申し訳ないが、
Sorry,
条件はまだ続くんや。
but there's more.
条件5、この取り決めはお父さんの遺言状に優先する。
Our fifth condition, this decision must take precedence over father's will.
後になってこの取り決めが保護になるような遺言が出てきちゃかなわんちゅうこっちゃな。
Later on, we don't want some will to appear and make this decision completely irrelevant.
入念じゃないか。なら質問だが、仮に本当に黄金が見つかった場合、どうするのか。
I see that you're very cautious. Then let me ask, if the gold really were found, what would you do?
それに対する支払いを兄貴が済ませてる以上、俺たちは本当に黄金が出てこようがどうでもいいことさ。
Since you'll be making payments to us for what the gold's worth, the rest of us really don't care if we ever see the gold or not.
俺たちの取り分は先払いってな感じになるわけだからね。
You can think of our shares as an advance payment.
夢があっていいじゃない。この島をリゾート化するつもりなんでしょ。
Giggle. It's good to have dreams, isn't it? You plan to turn this island into a resort, right?
その工事の途中でひょっこり黄金が見つかるかもしれないじゃない。
You might stumble upon the gold by chance during construction. Eva let out a high-pitched laugh. I like how they didn't ask for the VA to do the laugh. Cross watched, but didn't even flinch.
条件に7をつけてもらおう。
Oh. Let me add a seventh condition before I accept.
私以外の兄弟が黄金を発見した場合、速やかに私に引き渡すこと。
In the situation that any sibling other than myself finds the gold, they will immediately turn it over to me.
もちろん保証するわよ。
Yes, yes, of course. We'll hold on to it for you, Giggle. It was a play on words. Of course, the others were forcing Cross to pay money for some non-existent gold. Wouldn't save Cross his portion if they actually found it. From the beginning, this deal had been nothing more than a threat directed at Cross. Regardless of the actual facts, it was still extremely likely that Cross was embezzling his father's assets. When Kinzo faced death, at least and had his inheritance distributed, some unpleasant facts would surely come to light. That could easily become fatal to Cross. The others had spotted this weak point and were threatening their brother under the veil of compromise, trying to wring a huge sum of money out of him. However, they had forgotten one thing. They'd forgotten that their brother's brain moved so swiftly, at least when it came to cunning and guile, that they'd been forced to band together to combat him. While Eva couldn't stop smiling, sure of her victory, Cross let out a gloating laugh to show how relaxed he was.
とても良い話じゃないか。私もお前たちとの関係が疎遠になっていたことには非常に心を痛めていた。
Ha 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 ha. This all makes for such a touching story. What was this? Oh! I think someone subbed. But it didn't show. Someone subbed. Oh, there we go. That's actually pretty nice. First time this happens during stream. I couldn't see who subbed. I'm very sorry. Lency, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. First time this happens. Very cool. By the way, let me take chat out of his face. There we go. Haha. This all makes for such a touching story. My estrangement from you all has left a deep pain in my heart.
この条件を飲むことによって兄弟間の関係が再び有効なものにできるならそれはとても嬉しいことだよ。
My estrangement for you all has left a deep pain in my heart. If accepting these conditions means we siblings can become friends again, it would please me to no end.
喜んで話に乗らせてもらおうじゃないか。喜べローザ。
I'd be happy to agree to your deal. Rejoice, Rosa.
取引は成立だ。
We have reached an understanding. Rosa's expression dimmed. It was never a good sign when her brother started talking like this. Eva also keenly picked up on this. That's why she wasn't able to wipe away a sense of unease, even though Cross had openly accepted the deal.
嫌に素直ね。
My, how obedient of you.
兄さんらしくもないわ。
It's not like you at all, Nissan.
それはひどいじゃないか。
What a cruel thing to say.
私に下心があるというのかね。
Are you implying I have some ulterior motive? I'm trying to think what he could do with the money. What condition could he exploit to get out of with the cash?
あるわけもないさ。お前たちと同じだ。
Of course I don't. I'm just the same as all of you. Just the same as all of you. He seemed to emphasize just that one part. The color of Rudolph's face darkened. To him, it sounded like as though Cross was saying, I have a plan similar to yours. So Rudolph panicked. He rushed to bring his nearly resolved discussion to a conclusion.
ならいいんだ。
Then we're good. So
ここに
Aniki,
サインをもらえるか。
would you mind signing
今の
here?
話を書き出した俺たちの誓約書だ。
This is a written contract summarizing the discussion we've just been
人
having.
数分ある。
There's one for each
同
of
じ
us.
内容に全員がサインする。
Everyone will sign for the same contents. Rudolph took 4 written contracts out of his breast pocket that had the details of their deal written on them.
クラウス兄さんの提案した条件7ももちろん今から追記するで。
The 7th condition you proposed will, of course, be added right now.
安心したってな。
Don't worry about that.
兄貴、ペン使うか？
Aniki need a pen. Rudolph took a fountain pen out of his breast pocket and offered it to Krauss. Krauss made as if to accept it, but then, with a small laugh, he drew back his hand without taking it and spoke.
実は
Actually,
この取り決めを確かに履行するために1点だけ修正を提案したい。
Actually, in order to ensure that this agreement is properly executed, I like to propose an amendment on just one point. As soon as Cross said that single sentence, all of the siblings felt as though something ominous was creeping up their backs at the same time.
ダメよ。もう決まった話よ。
That won't do. We've already decided, haven't
黙
we?
ってサインを。
Just stay quiet and sign it.
エヴァ、何を焦っているんだね。もちろんサインはする。お前たちに黄金の分け前、75億円分を約束する。
The amount of money is 20 billion yen, and it's only taking account this 20 billion yen. If the amount is more than that, it only makes up for that. I mean, it mentions 20 billion yen. Now I'm confused. It doesn't mean what to do with the rest of the money. And he'll be in the possession of whatever the gold is, so he can just cash it out. I think that's the idea. Why are you in such a hurry, Eva? Of course he'll sign it. I promise the share of gold going to all of you will be 7.5 billion yen.
親父殿の遺産分配の時、きれいさっぱり清算することも約束する。
I also promise that when father's inheritance is distributed, I will cleanly and neatly liquidate it.
だが、一点だけどうしても譲歩してもらいたい部分がある。
However, there is one point that I simply must insist that you compromise on.
何の話だよ。
What are you talking about?
どの点が気に入ら
What
ない
don't you like?
分け前の1割、7億5千万円を即納する点だよ。
The part about promptly paying 10% of your share, 750 million yen. As you pointed out, my financial situation is far from prosperous.
数々の先行投資によって 未来に必ず回収できると保証されながらも、今のこの時点では火の車であることは認めなければならない。
Well, I can guarantee that I will collect on various future investments. I must admit that I am quite poor at the present moment.
つまり、今すぐに動かせる金は全くないということだ。私は無能で詳細の嗅覚も鈍い。
In short, I have absolutely no money that I can move around right now. I am incompetent, and my business sense is dull.
お前たちの言うところの弱り目の私には、7億半も半年で動かせる力はないということだよ。
Since I am the loser all of you claim me to be, I don't have the power to move 750 million yen in just half of a year.
そんなはずはないでしょ。いい加減なことを言ってこの場をごまかす気？
That can't be true. Are you trying to deceive us with such a half-baked trick?
遺産分配時に全て一括で生産する。1割を即納する条件を削除したまえ。それが私にサインさせるための唯一の条件だ。
At the time of the division of the inheritance, I will liquidate everything at once. Remove the condition that I must pay you 10% in advance. He knows the gold isn't true. Because there is no gold. And they are all making the contract about this non-existent gold. And they're trying to basically steal 10% of this eventual gold that could be found out of him. And if he finds it, they're just going to cash it out. But he's just trying to remove from his ass what them trying to steal him. That's basically it.
クラウス兄さん、この1割はな、あくまでも兄さんの誠意を測る数字なんやで。
Because again, none of them are sure that the gold exists. So if the gold exists, it's profit. If it does not, I profit 10% of what that gold could be. You know? Kroll's son that 10% is nothing more than a number to measure your sincerity, isn't it?
本当なら取引の余地もない話や。
All things being equal, you shouldn't have any room to negotiate at all.
そこを100歩譲った上で、とりあえず1割の誠意でこの場を丸く収めちゃるっちゅう大サービスなんやで。
We're doing you a huge favor by offering to let things slide for just 10% in good faith money.
そう説明した上で、そこを断るっちゅうんは、互いの信頼関係にちょいと影を落とす。
I love how the music is so menacing. We're doing you a huge favor by offering to let things slide for just 10% in good faith money. Now that we've explained that, you rejecting our offer would seriously damage our trusting relationship, right? Hideyoshi had a humble expression on his face and was rubbing his hands together. Is he a happy merchant? But his eyes weren't calm at all. Cross had already seen through the shadow in the depths of those eyes. Why are you all in such a rush? Or could it be that you're afraid of something? Rosa, won't you tell me alone? Secretly, so the rest of the siblings can hear.
別に私は
It's not as though they need money. That's the thing. All of them desperately need money. That's the thing, I believe. Her company is not going well, and I think all of the other ones also need money. I think that's why they're trying to scam him out of the 750 million yen. They need this money right now. And in case he finds the thing, fuck it, he can stay with the 12 bajillion. I'm still going to get the money I need to keep my business going right now, and I'm going to profit 2.5 billion yen. I think that's their idea.
よせよ兄貴。俺たちは兄貴がサインするかしないかしか聞いてない。
I think that's how it's their, you know. Quit it, Aniki. All we're asking is whether you're gonna sign or not.
妙な勘繰りも交渉もなしだ。
Just forget about making any strange deals or any other suspicious moves.
ほ
Oh.
う。私には交渉の余地もないと。
You say you have no room to negotiate, but they just said it's their last chance to make amendments.
立場が弱いのは私の方で公平な関係ではないとそう言いたいのかね。
Are you trying to claim that I am in a weak position, which therefore puts us in an unequal relationship? If it's that way, why are they offering him so much? Shivers began to crawl up Rudolph's back. He began to feel himself getting overwhelmed by the height of his brother's completely unsurmountable wall, and the long shadow that had existed since they were children.
取引は公平な関係であるべきじゃないのかね。
Shouldn't deals be made between those on even footings?
この取引は私にとっては弟や妹たちと長いことを失ってきた信頼を取り戻し兄弟愛を深め合うもの。
Again, they're just trying to scam him out of his money. Shouldn't deals be made between those on even footings? From my perspective, this deal will help restore the lost trust of my younger siblings and deepen the love between us.
それは私にとって緊急に解決したかった心のしこりだ。それが今日解決できてとても嬉しいと思う。
It's an old problem that's been eating at me, and one I would prefer to resolve as soon as possible. I would be overjoyed if we could resolve it today.
だがお前たちもこの取引を急ぎ締結することがとても嬉しいんじゃないのか。
However, it seems I'm not the only one who'd be quite glad to close this deal quickly. Am I wrong? Cross stared at each of his siblings. They avoided his gaze like an animal-like instinct. Only Hideyoshi was slow in avoiding it. So he was caught by Crow's gaze.
秀吉兄さん、
Hideyoshi.
あなたの会社非常に好調しだそう
Oh, Hideyoshi-san, I hear your company has been extremely well
トン
lately.
トン拍子で上場を果たし業績も株価も右肩上がり。
At a brisk pace, it went public, and both its track record and its stock prices soared.
実にお羨ましい。
I am truly jealous.
うちの人の話は関係ないでしょ。
We aren't here to talk about my husband.
だが株主たち
ほほー
に対する還元を怠ったのである。
However, it is unfortunate that you have neglected your stockholders.
そして上場した時に足回りを固めきらなかったのもまずかった。
Dude, I suck at business. I understand nothing. I know in America, a company has and is forced to, by law, to deal, pamper more the stockholders than their clients or their employees. I know that's like an obligation that the Dodge brothers imposed at Ford, all the way back in the 19th century, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure how this works in Japan, but still, if I invested my money, I sure wouldn't want to be neglected by the business. It's even more frustrating that they were unable to solidify your base when you became stock listed. I'm not sure what this means. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. What would it mean to not solidify your bases when your company becomes stock listed? The phrase unable to certify your base when you became stock listed generally means that the company failed to secure or strengthen its core foundation, whether that refers to internal operations, loyal investors, governance, business strategy, or stockholder support. At that critical moment of going public, being listed on stock exchange. Here's what solidifying bases might include in this context. Building strong investor relations, ensuring clear communication and confidence among shareholders, strengthening internal operations, make sure your business structure can handle public scrutiny and increased expectations since it's public. Securing a loyal shareholder base, encouraging long-term investors who believe in the company's vision, implementing good governance, establishing transparent, robust management practice, having a clear growth strategy, demonstrating to the market that the company has a solid forward-looking plan. Interesting. So he might not have this clear growth strategy, or his business might not have a good governance. By the way, I studied governance at uni, and it's an extremely important topic. Excruciatingly so. A lot of companies have been studying governance on business because it works so well in IT that it spills into other areas. Let me take the nerd goggles off.
気づいた時にはタチの悪い連中に自社株をだいぶ買い集められていたらしいじゃないですか。
I think they want to buy their stocks back. That's why they need the money. Sorry. Before you realize it, some bad-natured colleagues of yours had bought up a huge share of your company's stock, right? You know about that.
秀吉さんと同じですよ。私に融資する人間などいないと裏を取れる程度に、私も秀吉さんの裏を取れるのです。
The same way you knew about me. If it's possible to collect evidence proving that no one would offer a loan to me, then it's possible for me to collect evidence on you.
そんな不思議があることはないじゃないですか。
Is it really so unexpected as that? Cross grinned broadly. In contrast, Hideyoshi's face was rapidly turning pale. Hideyoshi's company was a restaurant chain management company that he'd started from nothing. Thanks to Hideyoshi's management efforts, the company had achieved success repeatedly, expanding its range, and a petition to make it a stock-listed company had recently succeeded. That's why you never go public. A company that goes public kills itself. You might be selling it and getting huge profits, but you're slowly killing it. Every company that is publicly listed loses its essence and loses public approval almost instantly, because most of the time people who invest in them are people who are not interested, or who do not love the craft that you made. Once a company goes public, it loses its core, it loses its soul. It's like an anime. Once it goes public, it loses its soul. Again, I'm retarded and I don't know anything about business, but this is my viewpoint. The greatest advantage of being in the stock holding system is that you can sell stock certificates and gain a large amount of financing. That amount tends to be far greater than a business' normal profits. So this is an extremely effective way to gather massive funds to expand a business even further. However, in exchange for financing the company, the stockholders gain certain rights. They are given rights that allow them to observe and guide the company they're investing in, leading to profits even greater than their original investments. This right is guaranteed to the stockholders, and they sometimes use it to dismiss ineffectual management, which might be the owner who built the friggin' company. That right allows them to keep an eye on management and prevent the money they've invested in the company from going to waste. However, if they use it forcibly, they can eject the former management and take over the company. After all, dismissing management and nominating new management are powers held by the general body of all shareholders. That power is determined by the majority decision of the stockholders, and people who hold more stock get to cast more votes. Stockholm system? No, I think it's Stockholm syndrome. Also, hello Vex. I have this good friend I text but realized he was unavailable. I should have known. My manager is busy right now, so he couldn't contact you. By the way, if you want to get the context to this, go follow me on Twitter. Wink, wink. You go check my Twitter, my manager's Twitter, and you get what I'm talking. Yeah. I saw that you sent a message, but yeah. And people who hold more stock gets to cast more votes. In other words, in some person or group holds a majority of the stock, they can freely chase out the old management and make the present anyone they like. I mean, don't the companies who want to go public, they never sell more than 50%? Did he make a mistake by selling more than that? I mean, the other 49% might have a disagreement on the leader, on the old management, but if the old management holds 50% of the company, he holds half of the company, and he can never be toppled. If he holds like 51% of the company, his decisions will never be ruled out. But does that mean people are less eager to invest since they can control it as enough? I'll ask ChatGPT later. This isn't a business class. My bad. Don't worry, dude. Don't worry, man. Don't worry. If they want, it's also possible for them to make themselves president. Most companies take various defensive measures to stop malicious people from buying up their stock and threatening their position. That's what I was thinking. Like ensuring that lots of stock is bought by those close to them, such as company employees or like family members. However, Hideyoshi's company had only recently become stock listed, and he hadn't had time to strengthen those defensive measures. That's what he means by his defensive bases. His bases. He did not secure stockholders close to him. Or maybe Hideyoshi was so engrossed in the management of his company that he couldn't properly understand the dangers of being stock listed. It's hard to say whether he should be viewed as a kind-hearted manager immersed in the work of management or a foolish manager had his feet swept out from under him. I am a very kind person, and I think he was just a silly little dude who didn't understand. He was immersed on his work. Like, he understood the thing, he just couldn't do it. He wasn't foolish. He was a victim of the situation. In other words, there existed some people who wouldn't let him get away with that naivety unscathed. They began repeatedly buying up stock in Hideyoshi's company, rapidly gaining such strength, and they that they couldn't be ignored. They then sent anonymous documents to the shareholders in an attempt to gain control of a majority. The documents read, "The current management continues to make pointless investments and is ignorant of the needs of the stockholders. Let us force the current management to retire, cut the current wasted investments, and let this company be born again as one that gives more back to the stockholders." I find this so fucking stupid. Again, to me, as someone who is not the kindest to capitalism, I think people who may have a company should have it for the good of those who they serve, which is their customers, and not a bunch of rich people who own the company. It's very difficult to make the actual state of a company's management known. The fruits of Hideyoshi's sleepless nights and constant concern for his company were cruelly distorted, and he lost the trust of his stockholders. Thanks to these efforts, this group had almost collected a majority of this company's stocks. At that point, even Hideyoshi noticed and started to buy back the stock, but the stockholders realized that the company was undergoing an acquisition maneuver, and each demanded a ridiculous price for the shares that Hideyoshi was trying to buy back. They continually tortured Hideyoshi, who had no leeway in the negotiation of the price. One of the certainties of capitalism is that the price will rise when two parties vie for the same thing. It's like a monopoly or an oligopoly inside of a company. One of the certainties of democracy is that the majority controls everything. That's why I quite hate capitalism and democracy. So in the end, whoever manages to buy up the most stock wins. Put another way, whoever has the most money wins. Unless Hideyoshi could obtain a large sum of money at this critical time, he could easily lose all he had built so far. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. He couldn't wait for the division of Kinzo's inheritance, since no one knew when he would die. I really like how well written and digestible this was. As someone who doesn't understand much of business, and to someone who probably like my young brother who knows basically nothing about business, he probably would read this and understand the situation quite well, as it was very well explained. I really enjoyed the way Ryukiyoshi 07 wrote this. And you, Rudolph, have been in quite a lot of trouble lately, haven't you? You always hear people say it's terrifying overseas, but it seems it really is true. American trials are settled quite emotionally. They never hand down generous judgments to foreigners. Weren't you advised by your lawyer that making a settlement with the other party would be more economical in the long run? What's all this about? She didn't know. She didn't know. Well, it's just some trouble from work. No big deal. Nothing you can settle with money. Kirie immediately guessed the meaning behind the subtle expression on Rudolph's face. Her husband had gotten wrapped up in some kind of trouble without her knowledge and had been worrying over it alone. That's right. In this world, anything can be settled with money. After all, it can even buy back the broken bonds between siblings. America is very fussy about the violation of rights. Oh, so like he broke rights of Americans who were working for his company, I think. With money, but with money, anything can be
資
settled.
本主義万歳だ。
Long live capitalism.
もっとも和解金は数百万ドルにも及びそうだとの噂もあるがね。
Though rumor has it that the settlement money could be as high as several million dollars. Oh. Rudolph had been building a large amount of wealth with a certain type of niche industry. However, a niche is a niche. It definitely wasn't a business exposed to the light of day. An American corporate giant was trying to accuse Rudolph's company of violating their rights. What does that even mean? Does that mean he was doing illegal stuff? It definitely wasn't a business exposed to the light of day. Does that mean he was doing shady stuff? An American corporate giant was trying to accuse Rudolph's company of violating their rights. For various reasons, it was thought that victory for Rudolph in this trial would be extremely unlikely, and he was being forced into an all-out surrender. But what does that mean? I'm really confused now. System. Backlog. Oh, it's the same thing. I'm so confused now. I'll ask ChatGPT later, like in a way for me to understand. I think he was doing shady business. I think he was like smuggling drugs or some stupid thing like that. I don't know what their quote-unquote rights might be, but it's over. They can go to court over it. But even so, there was a way for this to be resolved with money. If he could just pay that money, it might still be painful, but he'd be able to pick himself up. He could pick himself up by the bootstraps. But if he didn't pay, he'd lose everything. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. Rosa, you're a good and noble little sister. You wouldn't get yourself involved in a dangerous money game. I feel pity for her. However, your soft-hearted nature has brought you trouble, hasn't it? In my opinion, becoming a co-signer for anything isn't something one should enter into lightly. That's none of your business, Cross-Nissan. Rosa uncharacteristically laid bare her emotions and yelled. After all, no one was supposed to know that. As Cross watched her, he let slip a muffled laugh. Without exception, every one of them, more than anything else, wanted a lot of money right now. In my opinion, becoming a co-signer for anything isn't something one should enter lightly. A co-signer. Co-signer. Oh, someone who loans money? Something like that. In other words, the situation had been reversed. After all, The person the younger siblings were threatening was the only one who had no urgent need for a large sum of money. The other three, however, wanted a lot of money quickly, no matter the cost. In other words, the longer it took to establish this deal, the better positioned Kraus would be in. Kraus was extremely sly. He had known of their Achilles heel from the beginning. Even so, he had not been certain. Therefore, he had hidden his knowledge until the very end, striking back only after analyzing their attitudes.
私もできることなら可愛い弟や妹たちの危機に金を工面してやりたいと思っているよ。
If it were possible, I would like nothing more than to raise some money for my adorable siblings in their time of need.
だが残念なことに持ち合わせがなくてね。
But unfortunately, I have nothing on hand.
7億半もの大金が工面できるスポンサーに心当たりがあるなら先にそちらを当たってもらいたいのだよ。
If you know any sponsor that might be able to raise a whole 750 million, I suggest you try there first. Krau's elated words were so obviously detached from what he actually felt. The other siblings could do nothing more than listen, grinding their teeth. If they could think of a sponsor that convenient, they wouldn't have kept up this charade. They had entered this huge battle especially because they had exhausted all other options.
もしお前たちがどうしてもこの兄を頼りたいというなら
However, if you do insist on relying on your big brother,
私の口利きでスポンサーを探してやっても良いのだがね。
I wouldn't mind using my influence to help you find such a sponsor.
おっと私にはそんなものはいないと言っていたか。
This guy is so fucking cool. He's an asshole. He's so fucking cool. I wouldn't mind using my influence to help you find such a sponsor. Like, he is an asshole. Like, he used them when they were younger and snatched a bunch of money from them. But his move was so freaking smart. Oh wait, I do believe you said that I have no influence.
それではどうにもならんね。
Well then, I'm afraid I won't be much of help to you. Krau's low, gloating laugh began to fill the parlor. The younger siblings, who had been driving the oldest brother into a corner until a moment ago, could do nothing more than grimace and grind their teeth. Eva,
冗談じゃないわ。
don't make me laugh.
兄さんに借りなんか作れるもんですか。
As if I'd ever put myself in your debt. Don't make me
冗
laugh.
談じゃない。
Don't make me laugh. I...
クラウス兄さんを頼ったらどう助けてくれるの？
If we relied on you, how exactly would you help us?
言ったではないか。
I told you, didn't I?
私にできるのは他のスポンサーを探すだけだよ。
All I can do is find on other sponsors for you.
もちろん利息を融通してもらえるようには最大限交渉するがね。
Of course, I will negotiate for the highest interest rate possible. Damn you,
足元見やがって。
taking advantage of us.
あなた、
Honey,
落ち着いて。
please calm down.
落ち着いてるぜ。
I am calm.
俺は極めて冷静だぜ。
I'm extremely cool.
クソったりが。
You bastard. Kurye grabbed her husband's hand. But that action made him feel even more pitiful, so Rodolphe shook it off. Cross laughed as though watching something highly amusing.
こんな時、本当に親父殿の隠し黄金が見つかればいいんだがね。
In times like these, It certainly would be nice to find Father's hidden gold.
そうすればすぐに25億ずつをこの場で切り分けてやれるのだが。
If you did, you could split it up into 2.5 billion yen portions right now.
残念残念
How
残
sad.
念
How
至極
sad. How very
非
sad.
常に極めて実にどうしようもなく残念だ。
How extremely, totally, truly, hopelessly sad.
今宵は兄弟みんなで酒を酌み交わしながら親父殿の隠し黄金を
Tonight, let us all drink together.
ベアトリーチェの碑文の謎をみんなで解き明かしてみようじゃないかね。
As we solve the riddle of Beatrice's epitaph and discover the location of Father's hidden gold.
仲良し兄弟が4人揃えばきっと解けない謎はないはずさ。
If we four friendly siblings work together, there is surely no puzzle we can solve. I'm grinning so much right now. Dude, this was so peak. This was such a peak storytelling. Extremely well written. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Cinema. Literature. Literature.
面白いことをする。
Quite an entertaining scene.
それでその突きつけた条件というのは何か。
Well then, what are the conditions they've attached?
はい。
Canon. Well,
クラウス様は黄金の発見を問わずにその分け前として
oh, he was a spy on them.
ルドルフ様、ローザ様に計75億円を支払うこと。
Well, whether or not Kroll-sama actually discovers the gold, he'll pay Eva-sama, Rodolph-sama, and Rosa-sama a total of 7.5 billion yen for their shares.
ただしその1割を3月までに支払うこと。
However, 10% of that will be paid before March.
クラウスの間抜けめ。
Krolls, you dunes.
弟たちに足をさらわれるとはな。
To think he would have his feet swept out under him by his younger siblings.
実に愉快ではないか。
How truly amusing.
しかし、爪が甘いようだな。
But it sounds as though they tripped when going in for the kill, yes?
はい。
Yes.
クラウス様はそれをエヴァ様以下お三人が緊急に大金を用立てする必要があるためとカンパされました。
Yes. Kroll-sama exposed the fact that Eva-sama and the younger siblings all have an urgent need to get money.
その程度のことはカンパできるのか。
Is there even any need to expose such obvious facts?
中途半端に無能な男め。
The irresolute, incompetent men.
今はどうしている。
What are they doing now?
話は一度中断されました。
That conversation has been put on hold for the time
今
being.
はベアトリーチェ様の碑文の話をされています。
Now Beatrice-sama's epitaph is being discussed.
私の黄金がどこに隠されているのか、その謎を解こうとか。
So they're trying to solve the riddle and find out where my gold is hidden.
はい。
Yes. Kinzo set down his spectacles, and snorted.
奇跡の成就が先か。
Will the miracle be fulfilled first?
愚か者どもが黄金を暴くのが先か。
Or will those fools expose the gold
実
first?
に見物ではないか。
What a show this will be.
愚か者どもが我が謎を解き明かしたなら、その時は私のすべての敗北だ。
At the very moment those fools solve my puzzle, I will suffer utter defeat.
我が屍を骨のひとかけらまでしゃぶり尽くすがいい。
They can suck my corpse down to the last fragment of bone.
愚か者どもの貪欲さが偉大なる魔法に奇跡を宿らせるのだ。
The greed of fools can allow great magic to bring forth a
だ
miracle.
がもし
And yet,
奇跡の成就が先だったなら、
if the fulfillment of the miracle comes first,
先だったなら、
if it comes first,
ベアトリーチェは再び蘇る。
Beatrice will be resurrected again.
私が半生をかけて追い求めたあの美少が蘇るのだ。
The smile I have been chasing half my life will be restored.
おお、ベアトリーチェ、奇跡を落とす聖なる夜がやってくるぞ。悪魔たちとのゲームが始まるぞ。
Hi, Burger. Hello. Soon will come the sacred night when we shall bet upon a miracle, and the game of demons shall begin.
私はきっと打ち勝つ。絶対に生き残る。
It does seem you have been a bit busy. Yes. Have things been okay over there? I will surely prove triumphant and survive.
他の奴らの命はくれてやる。
I'll let to have the lives of all those others.
富も名誉も財産も黄金も何もいらぬ。
Dude, I hope everything is okay. Like, I know you just said it isn't, but I hope things get better for you. I don't need wealth or honor or assets or gold or anything.
ただお前の微笑みがもう一度見たいだけなのだ。
All I want to see is your smile one last time. He proceeds to die. You're welcome, dude. I'll be praying for you. Game is much less streams. I guess not much. I played The Witness. It's a very nice game, a very nice puzzle game. What did I play as well? I'm not sure. I as you can see now, the chat over here displays the emotes. It's not showing right now. Let me present it to you. For example, if this ain't no way that I just sent, it's going to show up here as proper. I developed it so that the emotes appear properly on the stream. Which is quite nice. Kinzo choked, apparently in great pain. Kenan got closer in trying to pat his master's back, but Kinzo motioned for him to stop.
なぜ私が黄金の隠し場所をわざわざ
Nice.
人目に触れるようにさらしたかわかるか。
By the way, there will be soon a clip of me developing it and a shorts on the channel soon as well. So if you want to see how it was when I finished this thing, soon it will be up on the channel. Thumbs up. I wish I could thumbs up with my model, but I can't. Do you know why I went to the trouble of exposing? Thank you. You know, also something nice happened this stream. Streamlabs worked, not in a very big way, but it showed someone subbing to the channel live, so that is very nice. Will it include the deny incident? It will not, but it'll appear on a future what's the name? Compilation of different clips that I find cool from the last couple of streams, like since the beginning, like since the alpaca incident to now, probably. Do you know why I went to the trouble of exposing the hidden location of the gold in a place that everyone can see?
いえ
No.
魔法の力はリスクで決まるからだ。
Everyone can see. Is it in the portrait? Is it because magical power is determined by
ベア
risk?
トリーチェの黄金を暴こうとする人間が多ければ多いほど。
You don't remember the alpaca incident? I even got my homunculus to make an artwork of it and post it on Twitter. If the number of people who try to discover Beatrice's gold is great,
その危険が高まれば高まるほどに、それでもなお成就できたとき、
no worries.
魔法の力は偉大なる奇跡を起こせるのだ。
And the danger of them. I was playing Rimworld and I got distracted by a bit, and one of the characters went into a rage, and I saw it punching at that alpaca's corpse, and I thought he killed the frigging alpaca, and I got mental over it, and I screamed very loudly on the mic. It was on the first stream, I believe. And the danger of them succeeding is great as well. Then the power of magic will bring about a grand miracle if we succeed despite the odds. What I get from this game is that gambling is hella cool. Gambling is so cool indeed that it can make magic become true. Now Stream Elements just chose to work, and it only works like this. It never talks about my Twitter. And the great danger of them succeeding is great as well. Then the power of magic will bring about a grand miracle if we succeed despite the odds. I could make a bot that sends a message with my account on the chat. I think that would be nice to develop as well. I think Vettel does that. In other words, magic is a game. It is not the case that one who performs the best becomes the victor. The victor becomes the best because he has been granted magic. Do you see?
数億分の1という神々しい確率に勝利するからこそ与えられるようにな。
It is similar to how the miracle of life can be granted only after winning against the divine odds of several 100 million to 1.
お前には少し難しいか。
It is a little difficult for you?
申し訳ございません。
My apologies.
よい。
That's fine.
つまりはこういうことだ。
It all comes down to this.
ベアトリーチェの碑文の謎を解いた者には、私が築き上げてきたすべてを与えよう。
I will give all that I have built up for the one who solves the mystery of Beatrice's epitaph.
富、名誉、黄金、そして後ろ宮家の家督。私が築き上げてきたすべてだ。
That's fine. I'll give all that I have built up to the one who solves the mystery of Beatrice's epitaph. Wealth, honor, gold, and the inheritance of the Shuramiya family. Everything that I have established.
その謎に挑む資格があるのは何も私の息子たちだけとは限らぬ。たとえお前であっても、その謎を解けたなら全てを売る資格があるのだ。
I think that's the only thing this old man must have done in his life. My children certainly aren't the only ones with the right to attempt to solve this riddle. Anyone who solves the riddle will have the right to gain everything, even you.
はい。
Yes.
ですが、
However,
僕にはあのような難しい謎は分かりかねます。
I couldn't possibly understand such a difficult
無
riddle.
論だ。
Of course,
難解につく。
I made it difficult,
だが、お前も挑め。
but you must try to solve it as well.
それが我が魔法の奇跡を呼ぶ糧となる。
That will form the seed that summons the miracle of my magic.
誰もが挑み、誰にも至れなかったら、その時はその時。
If everyone attempts it and everyone fails, that'll be that.
だが、奇跡が集い、魔法の力が生まれたなら、その時こそ。
However, if the miracles come together, and give birth to magical power, it will happen.
ベアトリーチェが蘇るのだ。
Beatrice will revive.
だからお前も挑め。
That is why you must attempt it too.
誰もが挑め。
Everyone must attempt it.
そして我が魔法に力を捧げるのだ。
And in doing so, it will give strength to my magic.
わかるな。
Do you understand?
はい、
Yes,
努力します。
I will try. For a long while, Kinzo repeatedly mumbled to himself, agitated and clutching at his head. Kenan stayed where he was, alert and unmoving, until he was given the next order from his master. Kinzo eventually realized this.
もうよい。下がれ。
Very well, leave me.
酒棚に菓子の袋があろう。
There is a bag of sweets on the liquor cabinet. Vex, should I eat another piece of chocolate? Of course, always.
ダチンに持っていくがよい。
You can take some with you as a word. I'm fine. After all,
家具ですから。
I am furniture.
家具は菓子など
So
食わない
furniture doesn't eat
道
sweets.
理だが。
Well, I suppose it stands to reason.
ならばもう下がれ。
In that case, leave me.
はい、
Yes.
失礼いたします。
Excuse me. He was trying to be cool with them. I mean, it's fucking sweets, but he was trying to be a little bit nice at least. Kenan bowed and left the study. As the door closed, a heavy locking noise sounded out. Oh! It's the sound of his door. But it was not the sound of Kenan locking the door. It was the door locking automatically. No one could enter without Kinzo's permission, and once they left, they could not enter again. It was the mechanism that Kinzo, unable to trust his blood relatives, had created to seal himself up in his own study and isolate himself from the outside world. He was already unable to trust anyone excepting not the children who shared his blood, but those servants who called themselves furniture. Nenjo-sama, how are you feeling?
ああ、源氏さん。いや、何居場所がなくなりましてな。
Genji, what's the best dinosaur? The one who has, I think, 500 teeth? Yeah, the one who has 500 teeth. Who shall not be named. Ah, Genji-san. Oh, it's just that there's no place for me to be anymore. With a bitter laugh, Nenjo turned to face the door to the parlor. That look was apparently enough to tell Genji what Nenjo wanted to say. For the most part, Genji also understood the family situation. It must have made him want to frown, knowing that right now in the lounge, the master he served was being discussed so disrespectfully. That one. I can't say it, but it's that one. But it would have been very difficult to gather that from his indifferent expression.
しかし、私には分かりませんな。どうして金蔵さんはこんな挑発的なものを書かれたのでしょう。
Still, I don't understand. Why did Kinzo-san have something so provocative written, I wonder? Nenjo looked at the portrait of Beatrice. No, he actually gazed at his gaze beneath the portrait, at the plate with the epitaph.
私には親方様のお考えは分かりかねます。深いお考えがあってのこととお察しします。
I do not presume to understand the master's thoughts. However, I'm sure he had a deep reason for doing so. He didn't say T-Rex. SMH, SMH, unsubscribing. Dude, what are you? A basic person? An NPC? Everyone likes T-Rexes. You need to like something else. You need to be quirky. If not, you're just a mind, a cog in the machine. Everyone likes T-Rexes. I judge people if they like T-Rexes because I find them basic. They have no taste. It's like asking someone, "Oh, what's your favorite chocolate?" And your favorite ice cream. They say chocolate. It's trivial to talk to them if they're such simple-minded people. No, I refuse. I do not presume to understand the master's thoughts. However, I am sure he had a deep reason for doing so.
金蔵さんのチェスは昔から随分と遠大な読みで布石を打たれるものでした。
Since long ago, when Kinzo-san played chess, he would always prepare his moves according to some far-reaching judgment.
いや、時には理解できない一手さえ。
Yes, sometimes even to make moves I couldn't understand.
私ごとき凡庸では何を目論まれているのか皆目見当もつきませんが。
T-Rex is the best dinosaur. In this house, the T-Rex is the coolest dino. End of story. I mean, I don't live with you, so if all it is, it's still a madly boring and basic house, but it's your house. I respect that. For an average person like me, it was impossible to see through to whatever it was he was planning.
私はこれを親方様の何かの遺言状ではないかと考えています。それを理解できた者に財産や家督をお譲りになられようということなのでしょう。
Sometimes I wonder if this might be some kind of will in the master's eyes. Perhaps he wishes to hand over his wealth and title to the one who can understand it.
つまり私のようなよそ者に解かれてしまう前に
Vex, you can't pronounce Rim Road. Road. Freak you. I won't take your word for what's boring. Just because my pronunciation of things might be impaired by me being retarded isn't a reason, isn't an argument. Actually, you're ugly and you smell, and your mom is very mean. So you're thinking he may have wanted the four siblings to work together and solve the riddle.
兄弟4人で協力し合って謎を解け。
Before some outsider like myself solved it.
金蔵さんは息子さんたちのことを口悪く罵ってはいますが、なんとか兄弟が仲を取り戻してほしいと願われているのかもしれません。
Kinzo-san may speak of his children in insulting terms, but perhaps he also wants them to repair their relationship. It certainly would be heartwarming if, as Nenjo had suggested, this epitaph had been made to repair their siblings' relationship. However, both Nenjo and Genji knew that nothing could be more impossible than this. They'd known Kinzo longer than anyone, and Kinzo trusted them more than his own relatives. But even they could not guess at his true motives.
親方様は一族のものでなくとも謎に挑む資格があると
Vex, you are a deny. You are a deny. The master always says that everyone has the right to try and solve the riddle, even if they aren't a member of his family.
南條先生はいかがですか。
What about you, Dr. Nenjo?
いやいや、この老いぼれには少々難解が過ぎますな。実は以前この碑文を手帳に記しましてな。
No, it's a little too difficult a puzzle for this senile old man. Actually, I once wrote this epitaph down on my notebook.
夜な夜な寝る前に挑んでみたのですが。
Night after night, I would try to solve it before going to sleep.
実に難
But
しい。
it really is hard.
お迎えが来るまでの間、ゆっくり楽しむことができそうです。
It looks like we might have some free time to relax and consider it before someone come
ゲン
to
ジさ
get
んこ
us.
そいかがですか。
Sorry. What do you say, Genji-san?
私めは親方様にお仕えする家具に過ぎません。
Even Genji. I am nothing more than furniture in service to the master.
黄金も財産も私には不要なもの。
Gold and assets are unnecessary to me.
やれやれ、本当に謙虚な方です。だからこそ、金蔵さんもあなたには心を許されるのでしょう。
My, you're very modest. I imagine that's why Kinzo-san trusts you so much.
ならば光栄なことです。
If so, I am honored. When will the glass shatter? As Nangel lightly laughed in response, he once again looked at the epitaph.
懐かしき故郷を貫く鮎の皮。
Vex, my tummy hurts. That's because you ate too much chocolate. I said you to eat a little bit of chocolate, a piece of chocolate. You ate all the chocolate, and now your belly is hurting. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown.
黄金鏡を目指す者よ。
Who
これを
you
砕い
who
て
seek
鍵を探
the
す。
golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. Oh. The epitaph on the portrait called My Beloved Witch Beatrice goes as follows. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. As you travel down it, you will see a village. In that village, look for the shore. The two will tell you of. There sleeps the key to the golden land. The one who obtains the key must then travel to the golden land in accordance with these rules. 1. The first twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. Oh. On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the two who are close. On the third twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name. On the fourth twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the fifth twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the 60th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 80th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. On the 90th twilight, the witch shall revive and none shall be left alive. On the 10th twilight, at journey's end, you shall attain to the power of the Golden Land's treasures once and for the last time. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. 1 shall be all the gold from the Golden Island. 1 shall be the resurrection of all the dead souls. 1 shall be the resurrection of the love that was lost. 1 shall be to put the witch to sleep for all time. Sleep peacefully, my beloved witch Beatrice. I should have taken note of that. Vex, since you're a fake cell, can you help me with something? I could try. A whole hour has passed. Now I understand what they mean by it being so guttural and violent. Oh, an animation!
第10の晩に旅は終わり。
this ends today. Today we'll be ending right now. Very lovely chapter. Borger, I'll be ending the stream now, but you got my Twitter. Send me a message there. I think it's a proper way to talk about this, actually. I hope you got... Oh, dang it. You got... The bot got you. Frick. Oh, okay. I can read it on the chat here. There's a girl that works at a store I walk past every day on my way to work. Every time I visit her, she gives me sweets and shares her lunch with me. Is she into me? Yes. Surely. She certainly wants at least a friendship. At least that. You know, women don't show this kind of friendship to random. Like, have you done something to her? Or was it like completely unprompted? Because if it was completely unprompted, it's because she finds you at least cute or handsome and wants you to have you around. What do you say? Either just send the I just walk there from time to time. She finds you either cute or handsome. If she actually wants something with you romantically, I'm not sure. Try getting her contact. If I was you, try getting her contact. Try talking to her off time. We can continue talking about that in my shitter if you want. Just wanted to ask a specialist. I'm not that good. Okay, I only E-date. And I'm very shy. But okay. You can hear the seagulls. Well, I will be gone now. Hope you all have a lovely night. I'll be talking to you, Burger, later. And I hope you all have a lovely shut up. A lovely rest of your day, night, whatever. God bless all of you. Thank you all who came up. And see you, all of you guys, tomorrow. Is there tomorrow? Is there a stream tomorrow? There is. There is the witness tomorrow. So I hope to see all of you there. Bye bye. Hope you all stay well. God bless all of you.